Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the Vice President taking on the challenge of the government's war on drugs.
Kung ito ang pagkakataon para matigil ang patayan ng mga inosente at mapanagot ang kailangang managot, papasanin ko ito.
Lawmakers set to debate on the proposed 2020 national budget.
So definitely po, yung budget, kailangan himayin pa at ayusin. No? But we will make sure it's transparent at walang pork or park funds.
Also, House priority bills before the year end.
Let the committees at yung plenary debate this. But definitely yung House leadership nakatuon dun sa meron tayong consensus na.
And gearing up for the Southeast Asian Games. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Malacanang says that Vice President Leni Robredo should be given the chance and space to do her job following her acceptance last week of her role as the co-chair of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, or ICAD. Also, lawmakers set to debate on the proposed national budget for next year. And are we all set for the 2019 Southeast Asian Games? Let's go straight to the source of the story. I finally have him, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Speaker, good to have you, good to see you. It's been a very long time since I last saw you.
Good morning, Pinky, at sa lahat ng ating televiewers around the world. Magandang araw po.
Thank you for being here, Speaker. Vice President Leni Robredo is now the anti-drug czar. She had a meeting with members of the ICAD last Friday. What do you think the Vice President can do to help government's war on drugs?
Well, first of all, yung sinabi ni Secretary of Justice Maynard Guevara, di ba? Tama siya eh. It's a all-of-government effort. So, the success of the ICAD and Vice President Leni, success of the whole country, failure is not only her failure. Failure natin lahat. So, I want to make that clear, no? Na dapat tanggalin ang politics, whether from the opposition or administration when it comes to drug war. Secondly, well, you know, they've been criticizing for the last 3-4 years, and they've been claiming we lost innocent lives, which is partly true, and they've also said that hindi successful. We will debate that it's not successful, and I would say that since the 1970s, ito ang pinaka-successful na campaign against drug. Sa innocent life, look at the time of President Arroyo or President Aquino. We lost more innocent life when we did nothing. And lastly, I've been monitoring the last 3 days, no? And parang from Operation Tokhang, naging Operation All Talk eh. So I mean, well, nagulat ako. I guess it just so happened that the Vice President is a favorite ng media or she likes media exposure. But usually in your first 3 days, sa office ko nga, the first month, I ask people just, you know, be involved in all the meetings, get yourself comfortable, acquainted, di ba, and everything. Then do the talking later. Pero pag upo pa lang, UN, papasukin ba o hindi? Tokhang, tanggalin mo, etc. So, it's so hard to know. Then now she's saying, magpapabriefing ka sa lahat ng department at lahat ng agencies. Eh, hindi pa pala nagbriefing eh. So, why already all of this ideas and criticism?
Are you saying she's starting on the wrong foot, sir? Ganun ho ba?
Starting on the wrong mouth.
Aha. Because...
Diba? I think tama na yung politika o yung debate from both sides when she was appointed. But once she's appointed, it's our duty. She's our Vice President, whether we like it or not. And now as head or co-chair no, sa anti-drugs, dapat respetuhin. But she also has to respect the work that has been done in the last 4 years.
And so you're saying
years.
it's time to kind of keep quiet and buckle down to work.
Well, maybe at least for a week or two while you're, you know, like you say, oh, yung UN papasukin natin, or yung sumuot ka ng body cams, etc. These were all criticisms na grabe na ang usapan at pinag-usapan dito, di ba? Look all around the world. Kailan ba ang police nagsusuot ng body cams? Di ba? Usually when it is special forces operations, like when they went to see, when they tried to get Bin Laden, di ba? But yung day-to-day, or like traffic, but yung day-to-day, it's been proven that this body cams changes the attitude of the the police pagpasok and
Why? Does it
everything.
mean you're not supportive of that? I ask that, Speaker, because there are a number of authorities who actually prefer to have body cams para wala yung nanlaban, he said, she said.
But usually not in drug war. Ang mas okay pa sa kanila, may kasamang media na trained na may camera. But yung actual
Hindi
na
mo gusto
isa-isa.
yun? You're not in favor of that?
I think we should study it more. I was one of them telling the Europeans and the Americans that if you want to help us, give us the equipment, including body cams. But when to actually use it? Kasi for example, sa buy bus, no? Sa buy bus, napakadelikado eh. So if yung pinagbibilan mo na pusher sees na meron na, di ba, if I tell you you're my confidential informant, then makita mo naka-on cellphone ko or meron akong camera dito. All deals are off. But in drug wars, di ba, may barilan yan, may patayan yan. So, in general, it's a good idea. But you have to look at the science. You have to look, does the DEA do it, the Drug Enforcement Agency of the US? Does the FBI do it? Does the police do it? You know, because nga, may science yan eh.
Or maybe technology, sir? Baka
Technology
naman
din.
merong maliit ngayon na napakaliit na pwedeng...
Yes, but like sa buy bus, ang ginagawa nila doon, nakikita naman natin sa TV shows, di ba? Nandun sa ceiling or ano, para kung makita, hindi delikado pa rin yung buhay nung law enforcers.
Okay.
No?
Speaker, there's a point that the Vice President raised, apart from what you said nga that, you know, meron siyang meeting, pinag-usapan na niya UN and US authorities to possibly help her assess and improve the war on drugs, sir. Sinasabi ho niya kasi we have to also find out the real numbers. Why?
Yes.
You have the police saying that 6,000 deaths due to the war on drugs. You have human rights groups saying this is not 6,000, this is 20,000. Are you at all concerned to once and for all find out ilan ho ba talaga namatay? Or do you believe the police that it's 6,000?
No, I definitely want to know the whole truth and definitely want to fix the problem, not just keep harping on the problem. And in DFA, I helped Secretary Martin Andanar, the PNP, and PDEA because I had to explain it to the Western world. And we came up with the real numbers and we came up with some mechanisms. So, for example, a lot of people don't know, there were 60,000, more than 60,000 murders and homicides during President Aquino's time. Except that Secretary de Lima, then Secretary de Lima, now Senator de Lima, came up with a memorandum order saying hindi extrajudicial killing yan. So pagdating ni President Duterte, suddenly the 20,000, the 30,000. And if you look, I hope it will keep up kasi I think nung panahon ni President Aquino, something like 10 or 11,000 a year ang pinakakonte na murder homicide. Last year, it was less than 9,000, 8,000 something. So I hope it will go down. So if it goes down, it will show you that kasi 70% ng crime is drug-related eh. So you get rid of drugs, supposedly you get rid of 70% of this crime. Eh.
No, but what is the real number that you knew when you were DFA Secretary, sir?
I can give you a copy.
Do you remember?
Yes.
What is the death?
Well, like right now, no, it's around 5,000, which all of them are under investigation. And I even gave the Europeans and the Americans the statistics of investigation ng police. Nung panahon nung dating administration...
Actually, they called it DUI that time, death under investigation,
yes.
sir.
So I think it was like 20% na iimbestigahan out of the 100% na dapat imbestigahan before. Now, I think 1/3. And if you look, for example, sa mga na-dismiss or under investigation, ang point natin, Pinky, it's messy when it's a war. We want a humane war. We want no deaths, di ba? But it might not be the reality. And the President never said, corrupt ang drug lords, corrupt ang judges, corrupt ang fiscal, pero hindi corrupt ang police. Or whatever variation. He said, the drug war has penetrated all sectors. So, that's why when this happened to the hearing, no, yung General Magalong versus General Albayalde, I can't really tell you right now who was saying the truth or if both were saying partial truths, no? But it proves the President's point, na it can come from anywhere, from top police officers, it can come from the Supreme Court, can come from Congress, can come from Malacanang.
So when we're talking about numbers, sir, meron din ho kasing numbers that became quite confusing. During the start of the drug war, the drug users that were numbered at that time was about 1.8 million. The President, I think in February, said tumaas ito ng 7 to 8 million. I want to lay down the context here, sir, because DG Aaron Aquino was saying, nagkamali ata si Pangulo dun sa 7 to 8. And in fact, hindi na daw niya inulit-ulit yung 7 to 8 million na drug users.
I disagree. Take a look at Letter of Instructions number 1 by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. If I'm not mistaken, kung hindi 2001, nearing 2004, and she was saying that in 1972, 200,000 lang ang users, but then there's been a 300% increase every year. And I did see a document na may 3 million users, but I did hear a statistic that 5 to 7% of Filipinos use drugs.
5 to 7% out of 100 million.
Is 7 million.
7 million
But
na
that's a question whether they're
light users,
yung light use or kasi 'di ba iba yung addict sa gumamit, 'di ba? Meron talaga, let's say, once a month magpa-party or nagkayayaan or especially with marijuana. 'Di ba? But with shabu kasi, we don't believe that if they don't stop, they won't become addicts.
I think, Speaker, what I'm trying to say is what I want to find out from you, once and for all, do we want to have a consistent number?
Definitely.
Users, deaths, sir?
Yes.
Kasi medyo nagkakaroon
definitely,
ng conflict.
but like sa death at saka sa investigation, sa actual na huli ng droga, you do need a firm and factual, very clear facts. No? But for example, in estimating the drug users, what do you do? I mean,
Mahirap ba yun, sir?
Mag-survey ka kahit saan sa Congress. Pag nag-survey sa Congress, zero ang aamin. Mag-survey tayo CNN, zero. But I'll give you an example. When Lani was mayor, every time, I think once a month or every 3 months, basta't siya nagpa-random drug test,
Yeah.
may nakikita, of course, pinapaalis or kaya bago mag-random test at napili, mag-excuse
So
na.
the point is mahirap, sir.
For
Hindi
certain
ba?
statistics, 'di ba? Like ilan yung
Users.
'di ba? But ilan pulis ang rogue, ilan ang na-dismiss, 'di ba? Ilan ang suspicious yung death, especially for example pag in police custody na. 'Di ba? Ibang usapan yung yung sa kalye kita ng lahat ng tao, bumunot, may granada, 'di ba? But ibang usapan yung disarmado na yung tao na sa loob ng presinto. O paano nangyari yan?
Namatay pa. Nabaril pa. The question is, DG Aquino is suggesting to the Vice President to possibly join the operations from, ang tawag ho niya, planning to the conduct of operations. Should she? We'll be asking the Speaker that after the break. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Sir, should the Vice President join the conduct of the operations, from planning to operations?
Hirap sagutin yan kasi remember, she's in the line of succession. So, pag sumama yan, hindi pwedeng hindi kasama yung PSG din. Diba? So, it'll be a little bit messy. But in terms of intent, yan po ang parating sinasabi ng police. Kahit ako po, kahit when I was a young congressman noon, yung pag-criticize mo yung police operation, sasabihan ka talaga na, sir, sana sumama ka minsan. So sana hindi mag-take offense si Vice President Robredo. I've been through this, even as a young senator. Sir, sana sumama ka. Kasi iba yung harapan tapos magkakabunutan ng barel. There was one time, kinausap namin yung Chief of Police ng Taguig nung bago pa lang si Presidente. And we told him, no, we don't want any innocent people dying. We want a humane drug war, etc. And for the first few months, okay, talagang huli lahat, Miranda rights, yung punta sa jail, and then may napatay. Then when we interviewed ba't napatay, naglabas ba naman ng granada yung drug pusher? So hihintayin niyang patay silang lahat, di ba? And there was another case that the President talks about. 3 beses na nasaksak, 4 na beses na nasaksak yung police before he fired back. Because nga before, takot na takot ang police na pag nagpaputok sila o napatay nila, nasaktan nila, sila pa madidemanda.
Correct. So should she or shouldn't she?
I think she's maybe if, meron na televised or etc. But I don't see a situation kasi kahit how well planned, whether by bus siya or nangyayari minsan yung yung re-raid ng isang bahay, more of nandun sa labas, then they can watch with the body cam. For example, those situations, pwedeng may body cam ka. Yung papasukin mo yung isang bahay, di ba, na alam mong drug den or whatever, may command center sa labas na taguden, yun, she can watch from there, then go in. But to be with the arresting officers and everything, siguro kulang ang 4-5 PSG na kasama niya. Baka ma-compromise din yung operation.
Yeah.
You know? But DG Aaron is a very capable guy. So he wouldn't propose it na wala siyang nasa isip.
Pero nag-aalinlangan ho kayo doon, basically. It doesn't seem...
No, I think the point of all of that is to say, ma'am,
Ganito
wag ka muna
nangyayari.
mag-comment hanggang hindi mo nakikita yung talagang nangyayari on the ground.
Okay, Senator Ping says to focus on the supply reduction and to watch her back. Ano ho ang advice niyo na lang kay Vice President Robredo?
Ang dami nagbibigay ng advice, wala pa ako nakikitang maling advice. Whether kay Senator Ping, sa dating mga PDEA. But remember this, before Duterte, we were failing in curbing drugs. So yung sabi mo, focus on rehab, focus on a health base, focus on ganyan, ang daling sabihin eh. Diba? But it didn't work in our context. And if you look at the President Arroyo's LOI, and remember, I was a critic of President Arroyo, diba? Yet here, she got it right. Sabi niya, before things happening in Colombia, then later on it happened in Mexico, diba? Happened to us. And going to the health-based approach, until now, hindi ako sinasagot. Because, you know, yung grupo ng Akbayan with Senator Risa
Yes.
and, di ba yung spokesman ni Presidente, dyan din siya, and then with the Vice President, Liberal at Akbayan, magka-alliance yan. They have friends or allies, or I don't know what you call that in Europe, na may ideology. It's with the human rights. Their ideology calls for to decriminalize personal use of drugs. This is the same group na meron safe zones, parang smoking areas na may needles, no? So, if she's saying health-based, meaning use science, use medical to stop certain drugs, rehab, okay yon. But if they're saying yung personal use at saka yung mga may safe zone, delikado sa atin yan.
Absolutely. Sir, I need to talk about the budget, 4.1 trillion. You have Senator Ping Lacson saying that possibly there is 12 billion pork in that budget. When I read through it, sir, basically he was saying that there are projects and programs without details on how they will be used, sir.
Well, I'll be very honest. As I said, di ba, na from Operation Tokhang, it's becoming Operation All Talk. You know, if Senator Ping or the Vice President have facts, have found pork, have found corruption, have found evils in the drug war that are factual, let's talk about it. Pero pag panay speculation, so we've been debating with Senator Ping, and to be fair to him, advocacy niya talaga to, and consistent siya. Even nung kasama ko siya sa Senate, even in the executive meetings or yung caucuses, di ba? I-bring out niya na wag ganyan, wag ganyan. So, I respect him for that. But nagdidebate tayo on speculation eh. May hearing sa Senate. Itanong niya yung budget na yun.
But that's what he said, sir. He's going to ask it in the Senate.
Yes, but sinabi niya muna sa media, tapos may debate na sa Congress. Puntahan sa akin yung mga congressman kung nasaan yung item na yun para ipakita nila na may specifics naman.
Well, your colleagues naman, sir, hindi ho ba, couldn't you have some sort of conversation with him? Ping, saan ba itong 20 billion na to?
We do, and we're close friends.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, pagdating sa advocacy, di ba, siyempre, yun ang advocacy, and he likes talking about it in public. And if I was an ordinary congressman with the same advocacy, sure, let's talk about it 24/7, diba? But no, as speaker, I have to get things done. We have to make sure there's no park funds, there's no corruption, there's no pork, but we have to have a good budget and we have to have it on time. So recent statement niya, baka ma-delay, ni-rebuff kagad ni Senator Angara na no, we're on time. Why? A day of delay is 1 billion pesos. Can you see the irony?
Yeah.
Senate and House had a fight in 2018. And ang pinag-awayan is around 90 billion. We lost close to 120 to 150 billion because of the fight.
Yeah.
So, di ba yung irony?
If you do the math there.
Yeah.
So, I just want to run by this, sir. You want you're looking at an additional 100 billion realignment for DepEd and SHED.
We quickly, we looked at the budget. We realigned what was very clear to us, yung dagdagan yung pambili ng palay, yung electrification, no, ng buong bansa, yung MMDA, yung additional allowance, etc. Having said that, there were questions na hindi pa masagot ng mga departamento, but they needed time. So, katulad DepEd, no, from 40 or 50,000 classrooms this year, 10,000 lang ang allotted next year. But then yung budget for the vouchers, yung para sa private school, lumobo.
Yeah.
So we're asking this, is this a policy? So nag-uusap din sila, is it sa bagal gawin yung classrooms? I talked to Mark Villar. Sabi niya mabilis, pero third quarter na binibigay sa amin yung ano yung gagawin. So we want to sort that out. No? And how much is 30,000 classrooms worth? So I want to know what is the real science here.
So how much is that?
private?
30,000 times 500,000 ho ba? Ganun ho ba?
Something like that.
More or
But the
less.
money is there, by the way,
Yeah.
kasi lipat lang the vouchers. Ganun din, no? Nilipat yung CHED, yung money for scholarships sa state use dahil meron na tayong libreng edukasyon. But remember, tuition is only 30% ng gastos ng bata. So, and remember, we have scholars who go to private schools. So, the question is, do we want really zero scholarship? So that's what I'm saying. Ang daling sabihin, pork yan, pork yan, pork yan. You want to solve traffic, kailangan gumawa ng kalye at saka tulay.
So the senator is saying, let's open the BICAM Conference Committee to media for transparency. Yes or no, sir?
We will consider it if the Senate proposes it. It's a proposal now of one senator. But remember, sila mismo may executive session. Why do they do it in private? Yung inyong editorial board to decide who will you invite or what will be the headline. Why do you do it in private? Because the tendency is pagka may camera, people will take advantage of the airtime.
Grandstand.
So walang problema sa congressmen because we're only looking at our district at kaya namin ikutin at man-to-man, man-to-woman, woman-to-man talk. But sa senador, so if you have 8 senators in the BICAM and naka-live yan, hindi mag-aano yan dyan, just like the budget hearing. Diba? So that's the reality there. That's why I asked Senator Ping, diba, do you want to get it done? Because we can get it done with the right transparency. Makikita naman yung lahat ng changes eh. Now, why would you want to know who proposes what? Diba? I mean, you have 300 congressmen proposing from cleaner toilets to more areas for tourism development, to education, health, trains.
Sabi niya, sir, wag na ibulong, wag na isulat sa napkin. Put it online.
Pwede naman yun. I mean, like kami, we create a committee and send it. But the nature of the BICAM kasi is ganun. I mean, you go into an editorial meeting na naka-type and naka-research lahat. But while you're there, you're writing at kung wala kang makita, yung napkin. Diba? So, magsasamit kang ganyan kakapal na formal, kalukuhan naman yung project. While talking, meron napakagandang project na sulat mo.
So,
diba?
but you're open as long as there's a resolution coming from the Senate
The
as
Senate.
a whole.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
why I said, ang answer ko talaga nun, let Senator Angara and Congressman Sid Ungab, the two chairmen, talk.
All right.
Dahil teritoryo nila yung BICAM.
Again, we'll be taking another short break. We'll be right back. Hindi na pasok. We're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. So much to talk about term sharing, sir. Tuloy pa ba to, 1521?
Alam mo, hindi ko maiwasan na yung ibang congressman sa sobrang taas no, ng pride ngayon sa Congress na very productive, record yung time ng pagpasa ng budget, good relationship with the cabinet, and then record attendance, record number of bills na ipasa. So they're talking about no term sharing. But as far as concerned, yun ang usapan, di ba? At ang sinabi ko sa ating Pangulo, I'll go to him for instructions. He's the head of the coalition. So as far as I'm concerned, walang nagbago.
Pero
so, napag-usapan lang, pero wala namang ganun.
Pero you'd rather not term share?
Yes, but it depends on the president. Kasi sinabi ko sa kanya, you can use me more sa Congress, payagan mo ako tumakbo. Can use me more sa DFA, dito na lang ako. So you never know what the situation is 15 months from now. And in the meantime, it helps me focus because with 15 months, di ba, napakaikli. So go,
Kailang
build
months ka na ba,
kami.
sir?
Siguro parang a year to go, no? So 3 months.
3 months pa lang, ano? So meron pa. So, kung ikaw ang tatanungin, syempre, mas gusto mong manatiling House Speaker. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Yes, it's good to be connected to the People's Congress, di ba? I love working in the DFA because of the OFWs. pero disconnected ka sa tao talaga eh.
Pagka DFA secretary ka, meron talagang, there's that wall somehow, sir. And then the plan is, of course, top some of the priorities at the House, Overseas Workers Department, Water Department, and Disaster.
Pinakasimple, budget, because dyan talaga nakatuon lahat. Education, sweldo ng nurses, teachers, okay. The revenue bills, for the first time, inuna ng Congress. Kasi ang dami naming mababango, magagandang bills, wala namang pondo, so yung revenue bills. And then the 3 departments, water, disaster resiliency, at saka OFW and foreign employment.
Sorry, sir, very quickly, ano yung sa revenue bills?
Yung sa corporate tax, yung sa alcohol, there's about 4 or 5, and tuloy-tuloy ang pag-uusap ngayon with the Secretary of Finance and the Department of Finance.
Are you in for increasing siguro tax dun sa mga salty foods, sir? Naniniwala ba kayo doon?
We're studying it, but we're not talking about yung mga tuyo or daing, which is my favorite, di ba? We're talking about parang sugar in soft drink, so salt sa mga nakapack. But malayo pa tayo doon. Nakasalang yung mga major.
SEA Games, we need to talk about this, sir. Kamusta na SEA Games? May problema sa IT. Is everything set, sir? And I think a call to the private companies to help fund the SEA Games, sir?
Bottom line, handa na tayo. Okay, sa challenges, remember, usually countries have 4, maybe 6 years to prepare. We had less than 2 years. Our budget was cut, siguro kasama na sa eleksyon, by 1/3 in the
2.5.
middle. So na-late na ng 4-5 months, na cut ba by 2.5 billion. So far we have 25 private companies that are sponsoring. We need a little bit more, especially for our volunteers, sa mga police na magbabantay, di ba? But aside from that, we're expecting, to really be able to showcase the Filipino, the bayanihan spirit, the Filipino hospitality. And we're excited that it's outside Metro Manila, mostly in Clark and Subic and Tagaytay.
So, sir, all systems go, sabi niyo naman, that's the new Clark City. So much has been done there. Pero marami pang plano sigurado after. But some of the games will begin even before November 30. Hindi ho ba? There are some games that will begin.
I found out that natural na lang yon kasi nga sa 11 days, especially ngayon. 56 games, 530 events, the biggest in SEA Games history. And esports, we already did a test in sa San Juan, sa arena nila, sa Flying V. And there's 2 billion people who play esports and 300 million who watch. No? So it's an incredible number. So opportunity talaga na manood sila doon, pero hopefully, all of the broadcast people will feature parts of the Philippines and Philippine culture.
Okay, sorry. Last question. As Speaker, how would you want, what would be the biggest accomplishment for you as House Speaker?
To inch or a kilometer closer to a safe and comfortable life for all Filipinos.
All right. Maraming salamat. Sir, we'll invite you again, please. I hope it won't be so hard next time. Maraming salamat kay House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.